right, guys. Hey, I'm excited to be with you. I was just picturing Russ Orchard sitting in his room, his office, lip syncing to that song we were just listening to there. I think it's his favorite one. So, hey, guys, a huge shout out real quick to Mr. Russ Orchard, who I know everybody loves so much already, but he is the one managing these morning ascents every day. And so thank you, Russ, for all you do. You're the man. Guys, I'm so excited to be with you today and really excited. I always like looking on the chat. And if you haven't noticed, Marissa threw out, I'm committed to getting 2 appointments today. I love that. It's Friday morning, and today's sometimes the day when it's like everyone like, okay, Friday. Man, Marissa, good for you. Go out and make it happen. I know you can do it. I also want to talk about the elephant in the room, which is this line that runs across my eyes right here. And then there's a line right here. And then up here. I have no idea what they are. They're on my screen. I need to fix it somehow. And I know it's been there forever. And I never think about it until the moment I am in front of you and realizing how distracting it is. So, guys, I apologize for that. I'll try to get that fixed this week. If not, Russ owes me a new iPad anyway. So we should be able to work that out. Hey, guys, so tons going on. As I've prepared for our morning ascent today, I've been thinking heavily on a couple of things. And that's a couple of the chatter that's kind of going on around the industry right now. The chatter of low inventory and how hard it is to compete in this market. And wow, so many agents are going to be out of business in a few months if things continue. And just, again, the chatter going on. I know you're hearing it. I know you're thinking it. I know you're nervous about some of it. And so I just thought for a moment it'd be fun to take a step back this morning and remember what it was like when you first got into the real estate industry. So number one, what were you doing before? And man, it'd be so fun if we were in a room right now because it's fun to hear everybody's answers. For me, I was working in a call center full time, kind of hoping to climb the corporate ladder at Discover Card. In fact, some of you don't know this. Rob Oakey was one of my first bosses there. We worked there together. As you know, Rob's one of the founding members and owners of Everest. And so very, very cool connection there. But anyway, yeah, I was working at Discover Card. What were you doing? What was your job? And then the next thing is, what made you decide to get into real estate? What was it that caused you to get into real estate? What were your hopes? What were your dreams? What was your ambition at the time? And as we think about that, and you think about what was it that you wanted to accomplish, I've been thinking a lot about the sacrifice that a person must make to succeed as an entrepreneur. And there is sacrifice that comes with that. In fact, something that I've found over the years, which I think is interesting, is sometimes people don't feel like they deserve the money that they're going to earn or the potential that they have to earn. And therefore they don't do it or they squander it away. Great book, side note, by T. Harv Eker, The Millionaire Mindset, where he talks about money and how we treat it, how we think about it, how we talk about it. Read that if you haven't. But one of the things that's been on my mind as I've prepped for this is just this idea of basically why we're doing what we're doing, and then taking a moment and pausing and saying, wow, there's sort of an element right now in the current marketplace that is, well, it's sort of like a do or die moment, or it's sort of like what I love to refer to as a moment of truth. The moment of truth. Have you ever heard that phrase? Of course you have. And what is a moment of truth? Well, one of my favorite stories about a moment of truth and examples that I've heard, and if somebody could maybe put it in the thread or something, it sounds much cooler in Spanish when someone says the moment of truth. But from what I've read and understand, the matadors in Spain, like the bullfighters, which again, I'm not here to discuss being a matador, or whether that's ethical or good or whatever, but just the story of that. These matadors, right? They have like the red cape they hold out, and the bull charges them and they move out of the way and stuff. Well, they do that until they have this moment, right? I believe their objective in some of the more gruesome areas is to actually take the big knife or sword they have, and they have to find this perfect spot between, I think, the shoulder blade and collarbone and stuff, and they have to kill the bull in that spot. But in order to accomplish that, they basically have to be right over the bull. And so they tire the bull out and all of that, and then they move the cape out of the way. But there's this moment where essentially they can't move out of the way. And it's either them or the bull that's going down. One or the other is going down. And they call that moment the moment of truth, because that's where the greatest amount of skill is required. And that's where you're putting yourself out there so much. And I think about that interesting example right now and think, boy, in this market, at this moment, and you could say every morning you wake up before the workday starts, your morning ascent that you participate in, which kudos to every one of you, is like a moment of truth. This moment where it's either going to be you that wins, or it's going to be the day that wins, or it's going to be you that succeeds over this season in the market, or it's going to be the market that wins, right? And what do you do to get over that? Well, one thing that I read recently in one of the, if you guys ever read them, the entrepreneur magazines, which are kind of great. I believe all of us are entrepreneurs, all of us real estate agents and all of the managers and everybody. We're all entrepreneurs. We have that entrepreneurial spirit. We are building something, we're sacrificing, and that's the key word right there, sacrifice. This magazine talked about 5 sacrifices that every entrepreneur must make. 5 sacrifices every entrepreneur must make. And I'm going to share those with you right now. And I just want to point out, because I know, because when I read it, this is what I did. The moment I started reading the sacrifices, I started saying, wait a minute, that's against what we talk about at Everest, because we believe in balance and we believe in stability and we believe about, and I'm just remembering, it's not a forever thing. These sacrifices that we're talking about and that are required and that you've probably already been through, these are sacrifices that are temporary. These are sacrifices that people who are creating a business, they have to go through. So let's just dive in and go them. First sacrifice is stability. Think about that. So number 1, stability. What do we mean by stability? You could talk about your schedule, right? My old job that I had for 3 years before I got a real estate license, I knew that I was going to be there every day by 7 p.m. I knew that I was going to have a break around 9:15, and that I knew I was going to have lunch around 11:45, and that I was going to have another break around 2 o'clock, and then I was going to clock out at 3 or something like that, right? It was very stable. I also knew that the same amount of money every month was going to show up in my bank account, and I was going to have an idea of exactly what that was. It was stable. The moment that I got into real estate, the world went sideways for me. Didn't know what time I was going to be able to come home. Still don't, right? There are some things that you just never know, but some of the other great benefits outweigh that. But let's talk about that stability. You can create stability in your business and in your life, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, but it's all based on you. It's the you eat what you kill mentality. And so you got to go out there and make it happen. You got to get out there and create and do the business. It's very interesting. But number 1, right? Number 1 sacrifice that an entrepreneur has to make, stability. Second sacrifice, the work-life split or work-life balance, you might say, right? The quote that it states, which I really like, it says, when you become an entrepreneur, the lines between your working life and your personal life will blur. You'll start thinking about the business even when you're away from the office. Interesting. Think about your previous job. When you got done, did you think about it much at home? I didn't really. Honestly, it wasn't something that was on my mind. How often are you thinking about your clients and all of that? I mean, it's on your mind all the time, right? So think about that. That's another sacrifice that must be made, the work life split or balance. Number three, income. Same thing right here. It says it goes along with the stability of sacrifice, but for the first while of your business, you're probably not going to be making the same amount of money. Almost every one of us, when you first got your real estate license, first got engaged in this business, there was a sacrifice to your income. I mean, with very little exception. I know there are some people that killed it right from the beginning, but more often than not, the story is that you're sacrificing. You're living off credit cards temporarily. You are living off of your savings temporarily, or just, man, you are hustling your guts out to get that one deal in order to survive, right? This is the third sacrifice that every agent must make. Very interesting, guys. It's really something that's right in the way. Number four, this was a good one. Sleep. Your sleep will be sacrificed. Kind of interesting to think about that, but here's what it states. Sleep is vitally important, but no matter how hard you try to preserve healthy sleeping habits, you're going to sacrifice some sleep in order to run your business. Has that been true for you? Have you ever lost some sleep in your real estate business? Maybe you still do sometimes. Boy, I know for sure that when you're trying to create things, it can be. I mean, at some level, the work. I know when I first got my real estate license, I was losing sleep because of there was the stress of it, trying to figure it out. But then there was just some of it was just the excitement, right? The excitement to get up and get going, and you're thinking about new ideas and kind of restless at night trying to get your deals going. Okay, fifth thing, comfort. Um, I love this line because it's part of one of my favorite books, The Traveler's Gift. Being the boss of your own company means that the buck stops with you. You're going to have to wear dozens of hats. You're going to be the accountant. You're going to be, look, so much of this, guys, I know that we're not training you to be an accountant and that you should be hiring people and all of that stuff. The big point that struck me with this is as we look at the current market conditions, as we look at this current situation, it's twofold. At some level, some of you are feeling like you're starting a new business because you have to rethink, reimagine, figure out how to succeed at a high level in our current market conditions. And here's what I love about it. There are answers out there for you. There's tons of answers. I have been brainstorming so much with agents recently, and it has been so amazing to me to listen to some agents that are very positive, that are thinking outside of the box, which in this current market, it's a must. Like, what ideas are you having for being a little bit more creative? And then some agents have already given up. And I'm so glad they're in our environment because we're able to kind of proverbially wake them up and sort of say, hey, no, you can do this. Let's do this. But think about this right now. We talk about sacrifice so often, and when we do, whether it's in your schedule, whether it's in your prospecting, just doing hard things, right? We think about it and we get so discouraged because we're hung up on the idea that I'm going to have to do that forever. For example, if you don't have any buyers under contract or sellers under contract, if you don't have any active listings, any active buyers, what must you do? You must set appointments. You must talk to people. And the craziest part about that is there's an argument there to say, if you don't have anything to close, meaning get ink on paper, we talk about this all the time, guys. This is not new. If you don't have anything to close, if you don't have anybody to negotiate with, if you don't have anybody to present to, then guess what? You should spend your time following up and prospecting. Those two elements are huge. So some people will say, well, that means I might have to prospect for 8 hours a day. And I'm just, yeah, it could be. Doesn't mean you have to. But here's what I love. if there's nothing else for you to do and you're growing your business and you're an entrepreneur, that's what you do. You figure it out and you jump on the phone. And here's what I know. It's not, if you're spending much time spending 7-8 hours on the phone every day, you're going to be creating more work for you to do. You're going to be creating more appointments, more CMAs to accomplish, more people to follow up with. It's not going to last long, but the people who are willing to do it are the ones who achieve and run through the finish line first. They're the ones who get to get out of the world, right? Those who sacrifice the most, those who push the most are the ones who get out of the world of sacrifice the fastest. So again, the 5 areas where it says entrepreneurs must sacrifice to make it happen: stability, work-life balance, income, sleep, comfort. It's going to happen. And it might be happening again for you right now as you figure this out. Embrace it, work through it, leverage the organization. Let us help you work through the work-life balance. Let us help you create more stability. I know that we can because we've done it over and over and over again. But in this market, guys, don't be afraid to sacrifice. Don't be afraid to push a little bit more to outwork your competition. I've always loved Peyton Manning, who was a great NFL quarterback. You all know his name. He's actually a very funny person too. Peyton Manning was so talented, and he's going to go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. In fact, something interesting, it's kind of funny, but he's ranked higher than Tom Brady is for his Hall of Fame eligibility, which is kind of funny, but it's just the way that they do it. It's kind of interesting because he has 5 MVPs. Now think about that. 5 most valuable players in his career for the entire NFL. It's a record, I believe. Here's what's so fascinating about it is when you look at that and you think about that, he goes to his retirement speech. And if any one of you want to go watch it, you should. But in his retirement speech, he talked about what he was going to miss. He talked about what allowed him to get to where he was in his life and his business and all that good stuff. And as he did so, one of the things he got very emotional during this part. He talked about how hard he worked. And he's a very intelligent guy, but he said, look, I'm not the smartest. I'm not the fastest runner. I might not be the most athletic. But he was so committed to the idea. And he believed it. He said, but nobody is going to outwork me. Nobody spent longer in the film room than I did. Nobody was doing their routes and throws and stuff more than I would. Nobody could outwork me. And we are in an environment, guys, where if you want to set yourself apart from the competition, separate yourself, and see great things happen, it is certainly going to require of you and of me some sacrifice and some hard work and determination, but the great things will happen. The good results will occur. The blessings will come. And one of the things that I really like about this is be open with it. Look, who does it affect when your income goes a little bit sideways? Who does it affect when your work-life balance is off a little bit? Well, it affects the people that you love. It affects the people that you're counting on to be with you. And so one of the great encouragements that we could have is have a conversation. Talk to the family and those who are counting on you and your loved ones and stuff and say, hey, guess what? This market is crazy right now, and it's going to require a little bit more of me. So because of that, I need 90 days. I need 90 days from you to let me figure this out. Might feel a little bit like it felt when I first got into the business, or it might just be a continuation of what you've been doing if you're a newer agent. But just say, I am totally committed to figuring this out. I need 90 days. But guess what's wonderful? When the 90 days is over and we make it happen, we're going to Disney World. I said Disney World because stinking Disneyland's not open yet. Hopefully it will be soon. Can't wait to get back to a Dodger game in Disneyland, hopefully this summer. But guys, think about how cool it is. Create a reward. Create a reward for the people that are around you, the people that are counting on you. as you sacrifice and make these great things happen, and they will, figure out what the reward is and make that so as well. So guys, I'm so pumped to be with you today. Thank you for spending some time in Morning Ascent. Keep in mind this great thing where there's this balance that you have to create right now. You might have to sacrifice a little bit. And then huge thing, if you just go Google right now, thinking outside the box, go get motivated. I was Googling yesterday afternoon. I just Googled examples of thinking outside the box in business or examples of sacrificing in business. Go spend 15 minutes reading some of these stories and you will see some great things. Second thing is go watch that Peyton Manning retirement speech, right? That's a guy who you can see struggled. Somebody put on I think it was Dan Conley wrote on there, he just got inducted. He did get inducted into he's going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Peyton Manning is, but it's so cool. Do you know how many Peyton Manning threw like 26 or 28 interceptions his first season, right? He was awful, but you read about the hard work he put in and the way that his coach at the time, who was Bruce Arians, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach that just won the Super Bowl. So cool to watch them talk about and the journey that these people have had. And you get the joy of seeing the beginning to the end and saying, hey, that guy sacrificed, he figured it out, he made it happen, and look where he is today. It's beautiful. Guys, you can do this. Make it happen. It's Friday morning. Go out there and be like Marissa and say, I am going to set 2 appointments today. And you'll do it. I know you will if you focus on that today. Don't stop until you achieve it. Guys, let's do some closing affirmations and wishing you guys a great day today. Thanks a ton for being here for Morning Ascent.